Good morning. Today we discuss about supply chain management. In that, we discuss about in this drivers of supply chain performance, we will identify the major drivers of supply chain performance. We'll discuss the role of each driver plays in creating best strategic fit between the supply chain strategy and the competitive strategy. We will define the key metrics that tracks the performance of the supply chain in terms of each drivers. We'll describe the major obstacles that must be overcome to manage a supply chain data successfully. So these are the things we'll discuss. And overall, these are the following drivers we are focusing: facilities, inventory, transportation, information, sourcing, and pricing. So let's see one by one. So before that, this is actually written in a framework. Uh, So when we talk about facilities, facilities are actually that physical locations in the supply chain network where product is stored, or we will store it, or assemble it, or fabricate it. So these things happen in some particular real life location, right? So that also come under facilities. The two major types of facilities are production site and storage site, because manufacturing happen in one place and storage may happen in some other place, right? So these are the two places we need to focus. So production site and storage site. Decision regarding the role, location, capacity, and flexibility of facilities have a significant impact on the supply chain's performance. For instance, an auto parts distributor striving for responsiveness could have many warehousing facilities located close to customers, even though this practice reduces efficiency, right? So definitely we need a high efficiency distributor is there, means we can have very few warehouses, because at the end of the day, when a product is required, it should reach the customer on time. That is the real success of um, product, isn't it? Then inventory. So second thing is driver is inventory. So inventory, it encompasses all raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods within the supply chain. Changing inventory policies can dramatically alter the supply chain's efficiency and responsiveness. So for example, let us take a clothing retailer. It can make itself more responsive by stocking large amount of inventory and satisfying customer demand from stock. That is possible. So a large inventory, however, increase the retailer cost. Definitely, we need to get bulk order when we are storing it. Suppose if at all customer lost interest in that product, then what will happen? We will get severe backlash, isn't it? So we need to think about it. Then transportation. Transportation entails moving inventory from point to point in the supply chain. Transportation can take the form of many combinations of modes and routes, each with its own performance characteristics. So transportation choices have a large impact on supply chain responsiveness and efficiency. Let us take one example. A mail order catalog company, it can use a faster mode of transportation such as FedEx uh, to ship products, thus making its supply chain more responsiveness. Isn't it? So that is one good example. Then information also is a necessary supply chain driver. It consisting of data and analysis concerning facilities, inventory, transportation, cost, price, and customers satisfaction throughout the supply chain. Okay, so information is potentially the biggest driver of performance in the supply chain. Even when we order something in online nowadays, we can able to track the product where it is exactly located, isn't it? Suppose it is the actual product is available in Pune, means it will shows that currently the product is Pune. Now it is transferred to cargo and it reached to the Bangalore hub, and from Bangalore it may reach to Chennai hub. From Chennai hub it will be reached to nearby delivery center. Like that, we can easily trace where exactly the ordered product is there, isn't it? So information play a vital role in the customer satisfaction. Then another one important thing is sourcing. So sourcing is the choice of who will perform a particular supply chain activity, such as production, storage, transportation, or the management of information. So at the strategic level, these decision determines what functions the firm perform and what function the firm outsources. So sourcing decision affects both the responsiveness and efficiency of a supply chain. Let us take a Motorola company. So after Motorola outsourced much of its production to contract manufacturers in China, it saw its efficiency improve further. because when we are tackling with all the details by ourselves, it may take some delay. When we have a trusted outsourcing facility, we can outsource it so that we can get the efficient product at the end of the day. So that is the one of the good scenario in sourcing. So another one drivers is actually pricing. So definitely pricing determines how much a firm that how much a firm will charge for goods and services that it makes available in the supply chain. Because when we talk about manufacturing, we have some manufacturing cost, because we need to get the raw material, labor charge, factory rental, EB charge, etc., etc., isn't it? But not only that, after successfully manufacture the product, we need to transport it to the warehouse, from warehouse to distributor to retailer, and at the end of the day, it should reach customer, isn't it? So we need to take all the factors when we are fixing a price for a particular product. Okay, so pricing affects the behavior of the buyer of the good or service. Moreover, it's depend on the competitive products available in the market also, isn't it? Suppose we are pricing too high for a particular product, means nobody will buy it, because the equivalent competitor, he may give with a low price, isn't it? So to avoid that, we need to fix a price very carefully so that we can able to get a success in supply chain. Okay, so and so these are the major supply chain drivers we are focusing. And in this diagram, it just describes the framework for structuring the drivers. Okay, how exactly it is. Because based on the efficiency and responsiveness only, we are taking these drivers into account, so that we are taking the good supply chain decisions. Okay, so that is depicted in this diagram. Next, facilities. So in this section, we will actually discuss the role that facilities play in the supply chain, as well as critical facility related decisions that supply chain managers need to make. So the role in the supply chain. So if we think of inventory, so what is being passed along the supply chain and transportation, as how it is passed along, then facilities are the where of the supply chain. So like we need to answer like where, what, when, and how exactly it's happened. For these questions, we need to have a proper answer. So they are the location to or from which the inventory is transported. So within a facility, inventory is either transformed into another state, that is from to manufacturer, or it is stored in the warehouse, isn't it? So we need to concentrate the manufacturing location as well as warehousing locations. Okay, then so the components of facility decisions, we have three components: role, location, and capacity. So role. For production facilities, firm must decide whether they will be flexible, dedicated, or a combination of the two. Flexible capacity can be used for many type of products, but it is often less efficient. Whereas dedicated capacity can be used for only a limited number of products, but it is more efficient. Firms must also decide whether to design a facility with a product focus or a functional focus. That is also important. A product focused facility performs many different functions like fabrication, assembly. These things we can take into account in production, in producing in a single type of product. Functional focus facility perform few functions, like maybe it will concentrate only particular functions like only fabrication or only assembly, like that. It is focused on the product. So a product focus tends to result in more expertise about a particular type of product at the expense of the functional expertise that comes from a functional methodology. Okay. Then when we talk about location, deciding where a company will locate its facility constitute a large part of the design of a supply chain. See, when we take a manufacturing site, when we construct a factory, we need to take care of a lot of factors, right? Suppose where we are putting that factory in a very remote place, means what will happen? We won't get employees, right? So it should be easily accessible with the highway and all. Then only we can able to get people to work, and security, all other facilities also we will get. So when we choose a location for manufacturing as well as warehousing, we need to choose we need to consider several factors. Then only we can able to get better response. Then third one is capacity. Capacity must be determined the facility's capacity to perform its intended function or functions. A large amount of excess capacity allow the facility to be very flexible and to respond to wide swings in the demand placed on it. Yeah, definitely. How much you are going to manufacture is how long time you are going to store the product in the warehouse. Based on that, we have to choose the capacity area for factory or locations. Okay, then. So these are the important points about the components of facilities the decision. Then let's talk about inventory further. So here in this section, we discuss about the role that inventory plays in the supply chain and how managers uses inventory to drive supply chain performances. So, role inventory exists in the supply chain because of a mismatch between supply and demand. This mismatch is intentional as a steel manufacturer, where it is economical to manufacture in large lots that are then stored for future sales. See, when we take about steel manufacturing company, we can manufacture a lot about it and we can store it properly and we can sell it whenever it is required, isn't it? But suppose you are manufacturing some food products, definitely there is some expiry date, isn't it? So we can't, as a bulk, we can't able to produce lot of products, and if it is not sales properly, means we should throw it away, isn't it? So depending on the product and its complexity of the nature, we need to choose how much we need to do inventory. Okay, then components of this inventory decision, we have cycle inventory, uh, safety inventory, seasonal inventory, and level of product availability. So cycle inventory. So cycle inventory is the average amount of inventory used to satisfy demand between receipts of suppliers' shipments. The size of the cycle inventory is a result of the production, transportation, or purchase of material in large lots. Companies produce or purchase in large lots to exploit economics of scale in the production, right? Then, so that's all about cycle inventory. Then next one is safety inventory. So from the name itself, safety inventory is inventory held in case demand exceeds expectations. It is held to counter uncertainty. If the world were perfectly predictable, only cycle inventory would be needed because demand is uncertain and may exceed expectations. However, companies hold safety inventory to satisfy an unexpectedly high demand. Like when we go for hotel, suppose the bulk amount of customer comes, means they are anyway they are managing and they were giving supplying food, isn't it? So something like that always we need to have plan B. Then seasonal inventory. Seasonal inventory is built up to counter predictable variability in demand. See, like during rainy season only we need a lot of umbrellas, right? So that time they can able to manufacture lot of it. So like that, seasonal inventory, it is built up to counter predictable variability in demand. Then level of product availability. So level of product availability is the fraction of demand that is served on time from product held in inventory. A high level of product availability provides a high level of responsiveness but increases cost because a lot of inventory is held but rarely used. In contrast, a low level of product availability lowers inventory holding cost but results in a higher fraction of customers who are not served on time. Okay, so that's all about components of inventory decisions. Next one is transportation. So we'll talk about transportation. Again, it's one of the supply chain drivers. So in this section, we discuss the role that transportation plays in the supply chain, as well as key transportation related decision that supply chain managers must take. Okay, so let's see the role in the supply chain. Transportation move products between different stages in a supply chain, right? Like the other supply chain drivers, transportation has a large impact on both responsiveness and efficiency. Faster transportation allows a supply chain to be more responsive but reduces its efficiency. The type of transportation a company uses also affects the inventory and facilities location in the supply chain. Okay, now let's see the components of transportation decision. So we have various components: design of transportation network, choice of transportation mode, transportation related metrics, metrics. So we'll see one by one. Design of transportation network. So design of transportation networks in the sense the transportation network is the collection of transportation modes, locations, and routes along which product can be shipped. A company must decide whether transportation from a supply source will be direct to the demand point or will go through intermediate consolidation points. Design decision also include whether multiple supply or demand points will be included in a single run or not. Finally, companies must also decide on the set of transportation modes that will be used. Okay. Now, choice of transportation mode. That is also very important factor because we need to choose whether we need to transport via air, truck, rail, sea, like that, isn't it? And if pipeline also possible. Nowadays, then gasoline and all, they are taking it into pipeline, right? So we can include pipeline as a mode of transportation. So information goods can be shipped via internet, right? Each mode has different characteristics with respect to the speed, size of shipments, and the nature of the product, cost of shipping, and flexibility that lead companies to choose one particular mode over the other. Okay, so when we talk about the transportation related metrics, we need to concentrate on average inbound transportation cost, average incoming shipment cost, shipment size, average inbound transportation cost per shipment, average outbound transportation cost, average outbound shipment size. Okay, so we'll see the definition of these things one by one. Average inbound transportation cost. It is nothing but it is a measures the cost of bringing product into a facility as a percentage of sales or cost of goods sold. Okay, that is we can measure like amount of product per unit brought into the location. Okay, then average incoming shipment size. It measures the average number of units or dollars each incoming shipment at a facility. So in a facility, average number of units per dollar. What exactly comes? That is come under average incoming shipment size. Then average outbound transportation cost. It is nothing but it is the cost of sending product out of a facility to the customer. Ideally, this cost should be measured per unit shipped, but it is often measured as a percentage of sales. Average outbound shipment size. It measures the average number of units or dollars on each outbound shipment at the facility. Okay. Next, information. So in this section, we discuss the role that information plays in the supply chain, as well as we'll see the key information related decisions that supply chain managers must take. So role in the supply chain, information deeply affects every part of the supply chain, right? Its impact is easy to underestimate as information affects the supply chain in many different ways. Let us see one example. Information serves as the connection between various stages of supply chain, right? Suppose there is a transportation going on, means we need to know exactly where the truck is now. We can so that we can able to predict with how long time it will take to reach the destination. So all kind of things. So information is a very necessary one, and information is also play a critical role to the daily operation of each stages in the supply chain. Okay, then. So we'll see the components of information decisions. So we have coordination and information sharing, forecasting and aggregate planning, enabling technology. So definitely, coordination and information sharing. So all stages we are going to get the information, right? So the information should be passed to the intended people like manager, factory manager, or overall trust. So we need to know, update the information then and there, isn't it? So that they can take a wise decision in order to get the better supply chain management. So coordination and information sharing is a very important factor. Similarly, forecasting. Forecasting is the art and science of making projections about what future demand and conditions will be. So, based on the earlier data, we can able to do some meaningful prediction and meaningful decision making we can take so that we can able to take business to the next level. Okay, so that is forecasting and aggregate planning. Then aggregate planning, it transforms forecast into plans of activity to satisfy the projected demand. Okay, so that we can easily achieve the goal. Enabling technologies. So we have a lot of enabling technologies. So whatever new technologies like EDA, electronic data interchange, internet facility, all things we can able to use. Enterprise resource planning, ERP. So these things, if at all we can able to include in the supply chain management, we can able to include. Okay, so that's all about information. Then sourcing. So sourcing also another one supply chain driver. So in this section, we discuss the role that sourcing plays in the supply chain and key sourcing related decisions the manager need to take. So sourcing is a set of business processes required to purchase goods and services. Managers must first decide which tasks will be outsourced and those that will be performed within the firm. Okay, so various components of sourcing decisions we see in-house or outsourced, supplier selection, procurement, sourcing related metrics. Okay, sourcing related metrics. So we'll see one by one. First one is in-house or outsourced. So we need to decide whether we are focusing on doing by own or we are going to give it to the third party. So the most significant sourcing decision for a firm is whether to perform a task in-house or outsource it to a third party. Okay, that's what in-house or outsourcing. Then definitely we need to choose a supplier in a proper way. That is, manager must decide on the number of suppliers they will have for a particular activity. They must then identify the criteria along which suppliers will be evaluated and how they will be selected. For the selection process, managers must decide whether they will use direct negotiation or resort to an auction. If an auction is used, it must be structured to ensure the desired outcome. Okay, procurement. So procurement is the process in which the supplier sends product in response to customer orders. Manager must decide on the structure of procurement of direct as well as indirect materials and strategic as well as general materials. Okay. Then sourcing related metrics. So sourcing related metrics, the manager should track the following sourcing related metrics that influence supply chain performance, like days payable outstanding, average purchase price, range of purchase price. So these kind of decisions we need to take priorly. Supply quality, whether it is a supply quality, then on-time delivery, purchase quantity, then supply lead time. So these things they need to focus when we talk about the sourcing related metrics. Okay. Then next one is designing the supply chain network. So in this category, we are discussing about the role of distribution in the supply chain, factors influencing distribution network design options for a distribution networks. Okay, so these are the separate elaborate topics. We'll see one by one the role of distribution in the supply chain. What is supply chain network design? We need to answer this. Then role of network designs in supply chain. What is distribution management? When we talk about factors influencing distribution network design, the customer needs that are being met, cost of the network or cost incurred in the meeting those needs. Okay, so we'll see in the upcoming slides. So the role of distribution in the supply chain. So distribution refers to the steps taken to move and store a product from the supplier stage to a customer stage in the supply chain. So distribution occurs between every pair of stages in the supply chain, whether it is a raw material shipping or any other components that is required for manufacturing. Then again, we need to take it to the distributor location. We need to take it to the warehouse. Then from distributor to retailer. So everywhere we need to take the decision, right? So we are here going to define the business objectives, project scope, analysis to be performed, and we are determining the tools to be utilized and completion of the project in accordance with the design. So these are the things we are focusing here. Now, what do you mean by distribution management? Distribution management includes forecasting, transportation, warehousing, and delivery within the large universe of logistics and supply chain management. So, definitely we need to focus on the customer need to be met, cost of meeting those customer needs, right? Then, factors influencing this distribution network design, we have as I said earlier, we need to evaluate these two dimensions. One is the customer needs that are being met, cost of the network or cost incurred in the meeting those needs. So main factors here is response time, product variety, product availability, customer experience, order visibility, and returnability. So, next one is changing the distribution network design, which affects the following supply chain cost. So definitely inventory cost play a major role, transportation cost, facilities and handling related cost, information system cost. Okay, So based on the choice for the two decisions, there are 6 distinct distributed network designs that are being associated here. One is manufactured storage with direct shipping, manufactured storage with direct shipping and in transit merge, that is called cross-docking, distributed storage with package carrier delivery, distributed storage with last mile delivery, manufacturer or distributor storage with customer pickup, and retail storage with customer pickup. So we'll see one by one. Before that, based on this distribution network design scenario, it affects this overall supply chain cost. So see the diagram, you can see when we talk about the response time, desired response time means automatically number of facilities going lower. Okay. So similarly, when we talk about the inventory cost, what will happen? The number of facilities increases means automatically inventory cost also increases. Number of facilities increases means definitely facility cost also going to increase. And based on the number of facilities, transportation cost uh, actually the transportation cost is somewhat reduced because we are increasing more facilities, so automatically we don't need to bother about the transportation. So it, at one particular till one particular point of time, the transportation cost will be low when we increase the number of facilities. So these are actually depicted in the graph. That's all today. Thank you.